From emotionally raw performances to critically acclaimed roles, Ellen Burstyn has blessed audiences with a range of unforgettable characters. No wonder she won an Oscar and was nominated for 5 others. With a career spanning decades and directors, Ellen Burstyn is a true legend in both film and television. So whether she's diving into intense dramas or conveying complex characters, this stellar actress's work never fails to resonate with moviegoers. Her talent for playing vulnerable characters and strong leads has earned her a place among Hollywood's greatest stars. So let's celebrate her impressive career by counting down the top 10 Ellen Burstyn movies of all time. Number 10. Queen Bees.
1, 2, 3, and
It's like a box.
yeah, that's how they call it, box step.
A relatively recent entry into the filmography of Ellen Burstyn, 2021's Queen Bees nevertheless stands right there proudly alongside the rest of her work. And it's not just her which makes this tale of an elderly woman moving into an old folks' home and, in the process, finding both difficulties and love work so well. No, the rest of the cast more than hold their own here. But then, when that cast includes the likes of Anne Margaret, Jane Curtin, Christopher Lloyd, and Elizabeth Mitchell, why wouldn't it? And then, of course, there's James Caan's turn as Burstyn's love interest, Dan Simpson. This is a performance which reminds everyone how great of an actor he is. And that's particularly fitting as this was the last movie of his released before he died in 2022. For as great as he is here though, it's Ellen Burstyn's performance which anchors the whole film and allows those around her to play off each other much more confidently. But then, it helped some of the actors play off of each other when they'd already worked together in the past, as was the case with Anne Margaret and Christopher Lloyd, who's appeared on screen together 4 years prior in Going in Style.
You want to join our aquatics class?
No, thank you.
It's a lot of fun.
I'm sure it is.
Number 9. The King of Marvin Gardens.
May I greet the morning as I am, with my own naked face.
There have been a lot of great movies made about schemers over the years in Hollywood, about men and women looking to make it big with one good get-rich-quick idea. And while 1972's The King of Marvin Gardens isn't necessarily as highly regarded as some other flicks in the genre, it's easily one of the better ones when you sit down and watch it. Yes, in this story of a man trying to convince his radio personality brother to fund his attempts to build a casino in Hawaii, Jack Nicholson gets to do what he does best, and that's create a lovable rogue character who we really shouldn't like, but who we end up falling for hard. And right there alongside him is a solid supporting cast made up of Bruce Dern, Scatman Crothers, and Ellen Burstyn as Sally. Not that everything always went smoothly on set though. No, during the filming of one scene, there was almost a disaster as, while sitting in the back of a golf cart being driven by Dern during the Miss America segment, Ellen Burstyn fell out when he took off too fast, and this landed her in hospital for a few days as she recovered from a knock to the head.
Jason, if somebody doesn't want something, you just can't go give it to him. He's got only one thing. That's depression, suspicion, and mistrust.
Number 8. Wish You Well.
Believing in something is a lot better than having an empty heart.
One thing which always seems to do well in American cinemas is tales of rural families living their lives in the heartland of the country. And that makes all the sense in the world because so much of the US is located within those heartlands, meaning there's a huge audience looking to see themselves on screen. So it should come as no surprise that 2013's Wish You Well was a success then, because it tells the tale of the Cardinal family and their lives in 1940s rural Virginia. Of course, while particular focus is given to the coming-of-age story of the two younger characters, Lou Cardinal and Oz Cardinal, there's also a lot of screen time given to the matriarch, Louise May Cardinal, a role played by Ellen Burstyn at her best. Interestingly though, this would not be the only time Ellen Burstyn and Mackenzie Foy appeared in the same movie during the mid-2010s. In fact, it wouldn't be the only time they played characters sharing the same blood. No, in 2014's Interstellar, they'd actually play the same character, albeit at different points in that character's life. And that makes Wish You Well a nice teaser for what was to come.
Well, then you can find your way off my property. Now get off before I lose patience and you lose blood.
Number 7. Lovely Still.
You are going to kill yourself. Why?
Ellen Burstyn has been no stranger to starring in a romantic drama over the years, Hell, a large part of her career has been her doing just this. And in 2008, she added another great entry into this corner of her filmography when she starred in Lovely Still, the story of an elderly man who finds love for the first time at this late stage of life. Of course, this one being great is helped enormously by the fact that two leads have such excellent chemistry with each other. And that's certainly the case when we're talking about Burstyn and her co-star Martin Landau. But they're not the only ones who bring their A-game for this film. No, there are also very good performances from the rest of the cast too. A cast which includes Adam Scott and Elizabeth Banks. One thing you might not know about this movie based on the description though is that it is technically a Christmas movie with it taking place during the festive period. And this marks a rare distinction for Ellen Burstyn as it's actually the first time she appears in that genre, despite her acting career beginning several decades earlier in the 50s.
Let's make each other a promise, okay?
A promise? A promise of what?
That we'll never give up.
Number 6. Walking Across Egypt.
Would you let me cut that hair?
No, I don't know. Ladies kind of like the long hair. Give them something to hold on to, you know?
A relatively underappreciated movie in the filmography of Ellen Burstyn, 1999's Walking Across Egypt is really a hidden gem as it shows her giving off one of her strongest performances. And that performance is of Maddie Rigsby, an elderly woman who befriends an orphaned juvenile delinquent in the deep south of America and invites him into her life. Of course, there is a reason she's doing this, and that reason is because she believes that by helping this young man to find God, she can set him down a better path in life, a path which moves him away from crime. As to whether or not she's successful, well, we won't give that away here, but we will say the on-screen chemistry between her and her co-star Jonathan Taylor Thomas is fantastic. Obviously though, this was a very personal role for Burstyn as, in her real life, she's long been known to be a very spiritual person. So to get a chance to bring this to screen in a faith-based movie was something she considered a huge opportunity and one which she didn't want to waste. No, she was determined to deliver here, and this shows in her work throughout the runtime.
I'm going to church today. You're going with me.
Why?
Because I'm inviting you.
At number 5 we have Same Time Next Year.
Just two friendly sex partners that meet every year and touch and let go. Is that it?
All right, so maybe I was kidding myself.
1978's hit romantic comedy, Same Time Next Year, didn't start out life as a movie. No, it actually started out on stage, as it was on Broadway in 1975 that this tale of two unhappily married people who meet up once a year to have a brief affair first got introduced to audiences. Such a success was it there, though, it was inevitable it was eventually going to be brought to the screen too. What might surprise some, however, is that whether we're talking about the stage or screen version, it was always Ellen Burstyn playing the role of Doris, one of the secret lovers. And that's because she was so good in the Broadway version, it was determined she'd be the best person for the movie too. Really, she was so good here that even switching to a new co-star in Alan Alda didn't faze her one bit. In fact, this role would mark one of the 6 times Ellen Burstyn was nominated for an Academy Award. And while she wouldn't win that award for her work here, she would win a Golden Globe for Best Actress, something which went nicely with her Tony Award for her work in the stage version.
I mean, it would make things so much easier if you woke up with puffy eyes and blotchy skin like everyone else.
Guess God just figured that chubby thighs were enough.
Number 4. Resurrection. Many of Ellen Burstyn's more famous roles see her rooting her acting very much in the world of realism and normality, but 1980's Resurrection is one of her works which bucks this trend, as it instead tells the tale of a woman who briefly dies following a car crash, only to then be resurrected again. Of course, when she is resurrected, the character of Edna Mae Macaulay finds that a lot has changed with her, and that's because now she has the strange power to heal people. Needless to say then, this leads to a lot of attention coming her way, as a lot of people look to her for aid. Yes, this is another film which leans into Burstyn's more spiritual interests. And Ellen Burstyn certainly delivered in this one, so much so that she'd actually receive an Academy Award nomination. Sure, she might not have won this one, but the fact she was acknowledged at all shows just how much the Academy was paying attention to the great work she was doing here and the great film she was giving them. Maybe that's why to this day then, she considers Resurrection to be her favorite of all her films.
Watch. See, you tell me if you see what I see. Watch.
There, did you see that?
Number 3. Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore.
I will get job, all right? I will get you to Monterey before your birthday. I will get you in school by September. I swear it.
1974's Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore wasn't the first notable film Martin Scorsese ever directed. No, by the time it came out, he'd already wowed critics with Mean Streets. But it was the first one which saw him delve into an all-new genre for him, the romantic comedy, as here we see the tale of a recently widowed young woman trying to make a new life for herself as a singer and finding love again along the way. Needless to say then, this was another win for Scorsese, as audiences and critics were all in on what he was doing here. That said, it certainly helped that he had such a great cast working to bring his script to life. A cast which included Chris Christopherson, Harvey Keitel, Diane Ladd, and Ellen Burstyn in the title role of Alice Hyatt. But while this role would see Burstyn win an Academy Award for Best Actress, it wouldn't be without its challenges. Specifically, one scene where Harvey Keitel's character Ben threatens her left her so shaken up that she had to go cry for an hour afterwards, as she hadn't been prepared for her co-star's intensity.
Do you want toast? Here. And coffee? Thank you.
And a big smile.
Number 2. Requiem for a Dream.
I'm alone. Your father's gone. You're gone.
Drug addiction has been presented in a lot of different ways on screen over the years. Sometimes it's been glamorized, sometimes it's been demonized, but perhaps never have the real lows of what it's like to be hooked on something been shown better than in Darren Aronofsky's 2000 classic Requiem for a Dream. And that's because in this movie, the audience gets to see a full portrait of the lives of a group of people, each of whom are dealing with addiction in their own ways. And this includes not just Jared Leto, Jennifer Connelly, and Marlon Wayans' character spiral into the grip of heroin, but also Ellen Burstyn's Sarah Goldfarb and her issues with prescription pills given to her by her doctor in order to control her appetite. Really, this one is a masterpiece, and it was well deserved when Burstyn got nominated for an Academy Award as a result of her work in it. So brilliant was her performance, in fact, during the filming of her monologue about being old, the cameraman started crying and allowed the camera to drift off target, with this shot actually being used in the final film.
Purple in the morning, blue in the afternoon, orange in the evening. There's my 3 meals, Mr. Smarty Pants.
Our number 1 pick is The Exorcist.
Look, I got on the bed. The whole bed was thumping and rising off the floor and shaking, the whole thing, with me on it.
Really, when talking about the filmography of Ellen Burstyn, only one movie could realistically take the top spot. And that film would be The Exorcist, because when it was first released in 1973, it became an absolutely cultural phenomenon on account of how much it terrified audiences all over the world. Yes, in telling the tale of a young girl who is possessed by a demonic spirit and who has to seek out the help of the church in order to fight it off, director William Friedkin was able to create a film so special that even today, several decades on, it's still considered a classic and maybe the best horror movie of all time. Of course, it helps that the cast is great here, what with it including Linda Blair, Max von Sydow, and Ellen Burstyn in the role of Chris McNeil, the mother of the young girl who's been possessed. And realizing just how special of a movie this was, Burstyn made sure to deliver her best work here and give a performance so strong it would earn her an Academy Award nomination and would see her later be brought back for the sequel film, The Exorcist Believer, in 2023.
She's acting like she's fucking out of her mind, psychotic, like a split personality or...
And there we have it, the top 10 Ellen Burstyn movies of all time. No doubt you have your own list, so be sure to let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and get alerted of our next video. We'll hope to see you soon.